What's up, everybody? D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla discussion video. This one's going to be a Godzilla MonsterVerse discussion video. I want to make that clear. Alright, let's talk about the interesting topic of, do I think the MonsterVerse will continue? Godzilla has had a very, very long history spanning all the way back 65 years in the past to 1954. It is the longest running movie film franchise, and there's things like King Kong that have been around longer, Frankenstein, but none of those are consistently released. You know, those don't have consistent entries in the franchise. Godzilla does. Godzilla always has consistent entries in the franchise for 65 years, and that has been the case for 65 years. No, I don't think Godzilla is going to just die here all of a sudden in 2020 when Godzilla vs. Kong rolls around. The franchise will never die. It's going to continue. So even if the MonsterVerse itself doesn't continue, Godzilla will. But I think the MonsterVerse will continue because the MonsterVerse is going strong. Godzilla 2014 was a great start. Kong Skull Island did very well. Godzilla faltered a bit, but not that much. It wasn't like a massive underperformance. It underperformed, but not horribly. The MonsterVerse is doing just fine. I think we're okay here, all right? King of the Monsters, again, was not a failure. I have spoken to officials about it, and here's what I was told. I was told the movie did okay. You know, Legendary was satisfied with the numbers. That's what I was told. I was told that Legendary was satisfied with the numbers, and the direct quote I got was, "We are not surprised at all." So if they're not surprised at all, you know, I guess this was, according to them, how they always thought it was going to perform. So they're okay with it. Toho themselves has been very public about the fact that they are happy with the MonsterVerse. In recent interviews, they revealed that Toho would like Godzilla to continue for a long time. They would like him to continue to grace the silver screens in years to come, the next few years. They are also very satisfied and happy with the MonsterVerse so far, and they are happy and excited about the route the MonsterVerse is going. There's also lots of expressed interest for the MonsterVerse to continue, not just from fans, because of course we are. Of course, there's people like me and you who are going to sit here and say, please, we want more, you know, we're going to rally behind it. But there's expressed interest on the side of the people behind the scenes. You have producers at Legendary who have been talking about for a long time, ever since 2017 when, or was it 18? It was 2018 when the Godzilla King of the Monsters set visits occurred, and these interviews were again released back in like February, March, maybe that time range. March, April sounds a bit more right. March, April of 2019, but back as far back as 2018. There was producers at Legendary who were stating that as long as the MonsterVerse continues to make money, they're going to continue to tell stories set in this universe. Beyond that, they just want to make films set in this universe. It's not even just a financial thing. They're fans. They want to see Godzilla continue. So they want to continue to tell stories in the MonsterVerse. Even the directors of these movies, Michael Dougherty and Jordan Vogt Roberts, have both expressed interest in the MonsterVerse continuing in future years. They have talked about the idea of possibly expanding beyond Godzilla vs. Kong, doing a Godzilla BC mockumentary about the first civilizations to interact with the Titans. A Monarch potential TV show has been thrown around by people like Michael Dougherty and Jordan Vogt Roberts. Some of the actors, such as O'Shea Jackson Jr., have expressed interest in the MonsterVerse continuing. There's lots of expressed interest on their side of wanting the MonsterVerse to continue, and that's along with Toho, who has said, yeah, you know, we're happy with the MonsterVerse. We want Godzilla to continue on screen, whether that be with Legendary or not. We don't know at the moment, but we want Godzilla to continue. So there you go. I mean, if everybody involved wants it to continue, I think that might be a possibility. And one of the ways I think they could realize that is through co-productions. Toho recently, back about a year ago, just invested in a US-based studio. They're ramping up for something with that. Keiji Oda, who is the chief Godzilla officer with Toho Co., has stated in recent interviews that he is interested in working with other companies to continue Godzilla's legacy. He wants to expand the Godzilla brand beyond just Toho. Akito Takahashi recently stated again that Toho has expanded from simply approving changes to the MonsterVerse, approving changes to the characters, to actually overseeing the process of the American films being made. They're much more hands-on with the creative decision-making process, and that is not with Godzilla vs. Kong. That was pretty clear from the last interview they did, which was him saying, yeah, you know, we were not that heavily involved in Godzilla vs. Kong. Well, if we take that information and couple it with previous information from another one of his interviews where he says, moving forward, we are going to be hands-on in the MonsterVerse. Well, how could they be hands-on if the MonsterVerse ends in 2020 when they weren't weren't hands-on in Godzilla vs. Kong. Interesting. I wonder what that could mean. And then there's a lot of people who say, no, the MonsterVerse is dead in 2020, and here's why. Godzilla's rights revert back to Toho in 2020, and even if you're gonna say, well, Toho could co-produce, and that way they don't have to give the rights back to Legendary, they could keep the rights to Godzilla and just do a Sony Marvel situation with Spider-Man. They're not gonna do that because Toho wants the worlds of Godzilla. Well, let's think back to what Keiji Oda was talking about when he stated that he was interested in making the worlds of Godzilla. He said he was interested in a cinematic universe featuring Godzilla characters, something similar to what the MCU has done with Godzilla as their Iron Man. Okay, we already have that. The MonsterVerse already satisfies that. It satisfies that need 100% completely. The MonsterVerse is a cinematic universe featuring Godzilla, with Godzilla as the flagship series, and if the MonsterVerse continues, there could be more spin-offs and more big group ensemble movies. It could just continue down the road. Akito Takahashi at STCC also stated that there could be two sides of Godzilla that develop simultaneously. Toho could do their Godzilla movies like they did with Shin Godzilla. Legendary could continue the MonsterVerse with Godzilla there. And there could just be two sides that develop down separate branches but are going at the same time. The Toho side could be more experimental, take more risks. It'll be up to the directors if they want to intertwine with other movies or if they want to keep it on their own. Meanwhile, the MonsterVerse has a clear set goal that they are reaching towards, that they are striving towards. They're going to continue that down that very clear developed path. Which leads to the big question, do I genuinely think the MonsterVerse will continue? I think if Godzilla vs. Kong is a success, it will. I think that is the big thing. Toho and Legendary, unlike Warner Brothers and Universal, take things one step at a time. Universal just like, hey, we're doing this dark universe, Invisible Man, Frankenstein, The Bride of Frankenstein, all this other crazy movies. It's gonna be great. You guys are gonna love it. Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula. Oh, wait, you guys didn't like Tom Cruise's The Mummy? They announced way too much. DC does the same thing. They're like, Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn and Joker solo movie, Batman trilogy, more Wonder Woman, more Shazam, Flash, everybody's thrown at the screen and it's gonna be amazing. It's like, oh man, slow down there, Warner Brothers. Let's think this one through for just 5 seconds and see that your track record isn't that good. So I think the idea that Toho and Legendary are approaching this with, which is, yeah, we have ideas, but we're not gonna realize those ideas unless the previous film is a success. We're trying to put everything into the next film, and then if that's a success, we're going to move on from there. That is the best way to do a cinematic universe I think you could, or just really to do any franchise, is take it one step at a time. Try and make this film the best film it can be, and then if it's what it does well, move on to the next. And so I'm going to say the future of the MonsterVerse rides on Godzilla vs. Kong's success. I think if Godzilla vs. Kong is a success, and I do think it will be, they're going to continue the MonsterVerse. But it doesn't seem like they're going to greenlight films before it's warranted, because that just doesn't seem to be working out for Warner Brothers, who's also a collaborator on the MonsterVerse, and maybe they've learned their lesson. And the thing is, unlike the MCU, where they can go and announce all of Phase 4 and say, plus we got Fantastic Four coming and Blade and everything else in Phase 5. Unlike that, these movies aren't guaranteed box office smashes, as King of the Monsters proved. There's no way to guarantee they're going to be the most successful films they could possibly have been, so they're going to continue to greenlight one at a time, and I think that's just what we're going to have to get used to. But I do genuinely think the future is bright, even if Godzilla vs. Kong fails at the box office, which again, I don't think it will, because the novelty of seeing Godzilla and Kong, the two most famous monsters in all of film history, fighting, I think that novelty is going to bring enough people in to where the movie's going to do financially well at the box office. Maybe not even critically well, but I think it'll do financially well at the box office. Even if we live in a world where that movie fails next year and it just does really horribly and the MonsterVerse dies, I strongly believe Godzilla's name will continue right afterward with Toho. I think they're going to be like, oh, all right, well, we're just going to take him back and do our own thing then. But I think if Godzilla vs. Kong is successful, Toho's going to go, do another one, Legendary. That's just the way I think they're going to go. Well, it's been a few days since I've uploaded, so I'm sure the YouTube algorithm is looking to bury this video. I haven't uploaded in a few days, so the YouTube algorithm's automatically going to be like, promote your video. Why? Let people who subscribed know that you uploaded? Are you serious? But either way, I was curious, and so I'm tacking this on the end of the other video. I was curious what you guys thought. If you guys thought the MonsterVerse was going to continue or not, or if that's just something that I think. Because I know some of the other kaiju YouTubers don't think it will continue, and there's a few who don't want it to continue. So I ran a poll on my channel to see what you guys had to say, and out of the 1.3 thousand people who have voted at the time I'm recording recording this, here are the results. I asked, do you guys think the MonsterVerse will continue beyond Godzilla vs. Kong? And overwhelmingly, 73% said yes, you guys do think it will continue. However, reading through the comments, the majority of the people that said yes say yes given the condition that Godzilla vs. Kong does well. So the same ideology that I have. We have 2% of people who I find these people's responses very interesting, saying, I hope it doesn't, but I have a feeling it will. So people who don't want it to continue but think it will, 2% of people. I'm actually very impressed that 2% of people would be willing to select that option, because that is a very unpopular opinion in this fandom. 24% of people said I would like it to continue, but I don't think it will. And then 1% of people said no, they don't think it will continue at all. So in total, 25% of the population thinks that of the sample population, I'll be clear, 25% of my sample population said no, they don't think the MonsterVerse is gonna continue beyond Godzilla vs. Kong, but that's still 75% of people who said yes. Although again, a lot of the 75% have maintained the position of only if Godzilla vs. Kong does well. I don't know, I just found it interesting. Thank you guys all for watching, and that's just my thoughts on it. I'll do videos on what I'd like to see in the MonsterVerse, things like what monsters could work in the MonsterVerse later on down the line. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. D-Man, out.